Every single second you're online, somewhere out there, a hacker is scanning networks looking for a way in, probing, testing, waiting for one tiny crack. And the only thing standing between them and everything on your network, your files, passwords, private data, is a firewall. Today we find out exactly how that wall works. Welcome back to Tech with Bels, Episode 3, Firewalls and Network Security. Before we get technical, where did the word firewall even come from? In construction, a firewall is a physical wall built to stop fire spreading from one part of a building to another. Network engineers borrowed that exact idea. Build a wall between the dangerous internet and your safe private network. Stop the bad stuff from spreading in. A firewall sits at the edge of your network and checks every single piece of data trying to come in or go out. It then decides, let it through, or block it. Firewalls make decisions using rules called firewall policies or access control lists. These rules spell out things like, allow web traffic on port 443, block anything coming from this suspicious IP address, deny all connections to port 23. The firewall checks every packet against these rules from top to bottom. First match wins. If a rule says block it, it's gone. If no rule matches, most firewalls drop it by default. When in doubt, block it out. To really understand firewalls, you need to understand ports. Think of your computer like an apartment building. The IP address is the building's street address that gets the data to the right building. But ports are like the individual apartment numbers inside. Different types of traffic knock on different doors. Web traffic goes to port 80. Secure web traffic goes to port 443. Email goes to port 25. Remote desktop goes to port 3389. Your computer has 65,535 possible ports. Most are closed and locked. But every open port is a potential entry point for an attacker, like a window left cracked open. Did you know? Port 3389 used for a remote desktop is one of the most attacked ports on the whole internet. Hackers constantly scan for any computer with this port open, then hammer it with password guesses until they get in. Many companies have been completely taken over just because this one port was accidentally left open to the internet. Now let's look at the different types of firewalls because they're not all the same. The most basic is a packet filtering firewall. It looks at each data packet's source IP, destination IP, and port number, and matches that against the rules. It's fast, but it's dumb. It doesn't look inside the packet to see what's actually in there. It's like a security guard who only checks your name on a list, but never looks in your bag. The next level up is a stateful inspection firewall. This one is smarter. It tracks the full state of every network connection. It knows if a packet is part of an ongoing conversation your device already started, or if it's a random uninvited packet trying to sneak in. Think of it like a bouncer who not only checks your ID, but also looks at the guest list to confirm you were actually invited before letting you in. Then there's the most powerful type, the Next Generation Firewall, or NGFW. This beast goes way beyond ports and IPs. It can look deep inside packets and understand exactly which application is generating the traffic. An NGFW can block Netflix on a work network while allowing business tools. It can spot malware hiding inside encrypted traffic. It can use AI to detect attack patterns no human would catch. This is what banks, hospitals, and governments use. Did you know? The very first commercial firewall product was sold in 1992. Before that, connecting to the internet was basically just trust and hope. Today, the global firewall industry is worth over $6 billion a year because every organization on the planet needs one. There are two main flavors of firewalls. A hardware firewall is a physical device, a dedicated box that sits between your internet connection and the rest of your network. It's always on, always watching, and it protects every device on the network automatically. A software firewall runs on your individual device. It's the one that comes built into Windows and Mac. It works at the device level, filtering traffic just for that one computer. Best practice is to use both. Hardware firewall protects the whole network. Software firewall is your last line of defense if something sneaks past. Here's a concept used by every serious security team in the world: defense in depth. The idea is simple. Never bet everything on one layer of protection. Stack multiple layers so even if one fails, the attacker hits another wall. Think about a bank. They don't just have a lock on the front door. They have security cameras, guards, time lock vaults, silent alarms, die packs, layers and layers of protection. Your network security should work the same way. In a network, those layers might include the firewall, an IDS that watches traffic inside the network for suspicious behavior, an IPS that blocks attacks in real time, antivirus software on every device, and monitoring tools that alert the security team the moment something looks off. Let's talk about something called a DMZ, and no, not the military kind. In networking, a DMZ stands for Demilitarized Zone, and it's a clever design trick that protects your internal network. The idea is this: some servers need to be reachable from the internet, like your company's website or email server, but you don't want those servers to have direct access to your internal private network. So you put those public-facing servers in the DMZ, a separate zone between the internet and your internal network. If a hacker compromises the web server, they're trapped in the DMZ. They can't get through the second firewall into your internal systems. Did you know? The term DMZ was literally borrowed from the Korean War, the buffer strip between North and South Korea. Network engineers liked the concept of a neutral buffer zone so much they just stole the name. Same idea, very different stakes. There's also a special type called a Web Application Firewall, or WAF. Regular firewalls work at the network level. A WAF specifically protects web applications and websites by inspecting the actual web traffic flowing through them. It blocks nasty attacks like SQL injection, where a hacker types malicious database commands into a login form, trying to trick the database into spilling all its data. Did you know? In 2013, hackers broke into Target, the huge US retailer, not by hacking Target directly, but by stealing credentials from their HVAC vendor. The air conditioning company had network access to Target for billing. Hackers walked right through that connection, eventually reached the payment systems, and stole over 40 million credit card numbers. This is why network segmentation is so critical. Divide your network into separate zones with firewall rules between them. If an attacker gets into one zone, the firewall stops them from moving anywhere else. You contain the damage. Every time your firewall allows or blocks something, it can write that down in a log. These logs are pure gold for security teams. They show what attacks are being tried, from which IP addresses, how often, and whether anything suspicious is happening from inside the network too. All those logs feed into something called a SIEM Security Information and Event Management System. A SIEM pulls logs from the firewall, the switches, the servers, the antivirus, everything, and stitches it all together. Then, it alerts the security team when it spots something that looks like an attack. The SIEM is basically the brain of a security operations center. It connects dots that no human could connect manually. Did you know? The average company takes 194 days to realize they have been hacked. That's over 6 months of an attacker sitting inside your network, stealing data, watching everything while everyone thinks everything is fine. Let's bring it all together. A firewall is the gatekeeper of your network. It uses rules to decide what traffic gets through and what gets blocked. Packet filtering is fast, but basic. Stateful inspection is smarter. Next Generation Firewalls use AI and deep inspection. Defense in depth means layering multiple security controls, so no single failure brings everything down. The DMZ is a buffer zone that keeps public servers away from your internal network. Network segmentation limits how far an attacker can spread if they get in. Firewall logs and SIEM systems give your team visibility into what's actually happening on your network. And always remember, the average breach goes undetected for 194 days. Monitoring is not optional. That's episode 3 of Tech with Bels. You now understand how networks actually defend themselves. Tell me in the comments which fact hit the hardest. The Target breach? 194 days undetected? Or the fact that one open port can bring down an entire company? Smash that like if this leveled you up. Share it with someone who thinks cybersecurity is just having a strong password. Subscribe to Tech with Bels and hit the bell. Episode 4 is coming and we're going full dark side. Viruses, ransomware, phishing, and social engineering. Trust me, you want to see this. Tech with Bels out.